Hello my friends, and welcome back to another Brotato Danger 5 random run, where we take two random characters, combine them using the Genetically Modified Overkill mod, grab a random weapon, and see if we can beat Danger 5 with it. Hope you're all doing well. So, as always of course, we're back to the wheel to find out what characters we're getting, because the random button doesn't work with this mod. And we've got... Oh, looking like it's going to be a fun one because we've got the Cyborg. Cyborg is always weird to combine with another character, and depending on our random weapon, this could be a very difficult run. So let's find out what we've got, and we've got the Renegade. Okay, so we're Cyborg Renegade. So I guess we're the plot of Terminator 2, and let's jump in with that. So we've got Cyborg and Renegade. And let's see what weapon we've got. The weapon we have is, we have the flute. At least we'll be able to charm enemies, but this could be a pretty dangerous one. And it is a weapon that scales with ranged damage, technically, though it only gets 50% scaling. So we'll see if we can make this work. I am going to sell the minigun, because, of course, we want to use the flute to the fullest extent. As you can see here, in the second half of the wave, all of our ranged damage converts to engineering. Managed to get the full 56 on wave 1, so that's pretty nice. And with the Cyborg, we typically are going to want to just pick up as much ranged damage as possible. So, just to remind you about these characters, Cyborg triples ranged damage, but halfway through the wave converts all our ranged damage into engineering, and we can't use melee or elemental damage. Renegade gives us extra projectiles and extra percent damage for every different tier 1 item we have. But we're going to buy percent damage at a vastly reduced rate. So this is a fairly interesting combination. I think it should be pretty strong, but let's see what we get. I'm going to roll here, and I will pick up just one ranged damage. I would take harvesting as well, but buying ranged damage is going to be so efficient for this character that it's still very much worth doing. And then we tragically have to bid farewell to this minigun. Obviously, I would love to keep it, but not allowed per the terms of our challenge here. I'm going to roll past those two HP items because I'm really looking for early economy items and anything that gives us uses for our engineering, because we're going to get a lot of engineering, so we need to find turrets if we can manage it in order to make use of that. I'm also obviously buying luck. It'll scale our flutes even after our ranged damage goes away, so we can benefit a ton from having extra luck. Honestly, the 35 extra... Ooh, nice charm there. The 35 extra materials from selling the minigun really help with flute, because it's going to get us off to a pretty nice start, I think. Also, if we do find any turrets, they will benefit from the Renegade's extra projectiles. So there are some pretty interesting things going on with this character. Kill the tree there. We get to use the pity rule for killing the tree because trees have way more than 8 health, but die if they take 8 hits, no matter how much damage it is. So just 2 volleys from our 4 weapons killed the tree for us. Let me re-roll here, and we'll take a ranged damage again, and then I will buy a flute and re-roll and lock another one, and that lets us buy the coupon as well. I didn't buy the coupon first, because if we hadn't rolled into another flute, I wanted to be able to keep re-rolling in order to get our weapon set online sooner. I will say the accuracy penalty from the Renegade is making it a little harder for us to actually hit things with these flutes. But this is a really fun character. Renegade with flute is always fun, and adding in Cyborg I think is pretty interesting. It just got us off to a good start, and hopefully we'll get to actually use the ranged damage scaling and the engineering scaling in some way. Of course, if we find Nail, that would be incredible. I would love to get harvesting, but I'm not going to pass a level 2 attack speed upgrade, and then I think I'd better just take 6 max HP as well. This character's going to have a hard time not taking damage, so getting that can help a lot. We'll take a propeller hat here, and as you can see, our percent damage is increasing because we're buying unique level 1 items. I will also buy a mutation. We don't have one yet, and we'll roll. We'll take a flute, and we'll take bat. At this point, I'm going to start just buying every unique level 1 item we find, because each of them gives us 2% damage, and that'll let us crawl out of the deficit that we're in. I'm not going to take Tentacle, though, because I don't anticipate building a lot of crit chance on this character. and it's expensive, and it's not a level 1 item, so it doesn't work with the Renegade passive. I do like that our little army here is going to help protect us even after we've lost our damage, our ranged damage bonuses. I'm gonna need some healing, though. I think I will try to kill the loot alien, or the curse alien. Just one of them. We're not going to be able to get the second one, but getting some curse can help us get much more powerful items. Here, I'm going to roll for harvesting, I think. I still do want to build harvesting, and we haven't had an opportunity to do it. That starts our harvesting growth off and can get us some extra money happening. I'll definitely take a lens. Dynamite, I don't think I really care about the dynamite. It is 2% damage. You usually do want to buy every unique level 1 item on the Renegade, but I think I'm going to pass and I'm going to roll for more powerful items. Leveled up flutes will take, and even though we already have one, we'll still take a propeller hat because it's going to buff the damage of our flutes. And the fact that we are a weapon that scales with something other than just pure ranged damage does mean that even after we lose all our ranged damage, we can still kill stuff, which is nice. Or convert it to our cause, as the case may be. Also, just the sheer number of projectiles we get and the low damage that they each do helps a lot in terms of actually charming everything. So we are getting a lot of charms. I could use a baby gecko. I passed one earlier, which maybe I should have locked, but we were looking for more powerful items at the time, I think. Here, I'll take an incendiary turret. This will scale with our engineering, so that's awesome. And the burning damage ticks won't charm allies, but the actual attack from the... won't charm enemies. The actual attack from the incendiary turret can. Let's roll here, and I'm just going to take 5 more harvesting. I did lose 2 harvesting buying the bat, but that's okay. We'll take a flute and a propeller hat and a lens, and then I will roll, lock another flute, definitely taking landmines. I will pick up hedgehog as well. He's getting a ton of ranged damage here. I still want to buy ranged damage, even though we only scale at 50%. It works with any structures we get when it converts to engineering, and it's still, when you buy it at 3 times the normal value, the calculus changes. Usually on flute, you only want to buy luck, and you want to ignore ranged damage completely, but when you buy it at 3 times the normal value, obviously it's a little bit different. And that'll let us kill elites, which is the main worry that I have for this character, is we're going to need high damage to burst down elites early in the wave. So I'm going to try to get our damage, upfront damage, as high as possible before we go into our cyborg form, so we don't have to dodge for 30 seconds. You don't need to buy engineering on this character. Let me reroll here. I could take 2 lifesteal. With the extra projectiles, lifesteal is a good way to heal. I could also pick up harvesting. I think it's a little late to build more harvesting, so let's just build some healing, and I'll take some regen as well. We can use both regen and lifesteal for this character. Take a flute. We'll take a landmines. Do a reroll here. Clockwork Wasp is great, and we'll take a mushroom as well. It does cost me some luck for the flutes, but still quite good. And the Clockwork Wasp gives us some much-needed move speed, and, of course, works with any structures we have. We've already got 2. Though the landmines are not that exciting. I do also, if I can arrange it, I didn't do a good job of it that time, if I can manage it, I want to avoid having enemies step on the landmines until halfway through the wave, so that they take the additional damage when we have a bunch of engineering, instead of taking really low damage when we have no starting engineering. You really do want harvesting on this type of character, though, so it's a shame that we haven't gotten any, because we're going to be losing some money because we have all these charmed enemies. You don't get the money from them until they die, so enemies you charm near the end of the wave will cost you materials. Let's upgrade our flute, and I can buy both of these, right? So we'll just buy the 2 level 1 items. Then a minus 62% damage, which is not bad. I'm going to pass on the hedgehog and the missile, and I'll roll again. We'll take a flute. I'll take a pearl, even though we buy percent damage at a much lower ratio. If we get a bunch of we'll be building luck, and if we get a bunch of pearls, that can be very powerful. So this character is strong enough in the early game, I think, that we can invest in a pearl and hope that it gives us extra copies of itself. Also, since we intend to be building a lot of luck, we should hopefully see more boxes, which can contain more pearls. So there's some synergy with this character. That was a lot of words to say if you're building luck, an item that scales off of luck is good, but it's important to think through these things too. Really starting to suffer in terms of our income, though. Just picking up materials is not something that we're good at, and normally on Abyssal Terrors I like to have way more harvesting than this, so we're struggling a little in terms of that. Ooh, can we get this tree before the end? Yes, we can. I'll definitely take a metal detector, and here, I think I am just going to take 10 harvesting just to try to fix my income a little bit. We will take those 2 items, and I'll roll. Okay, a starfish is a good find. We'll take a whetstone as well so that we can heal up. The starfish, obviously a little dangerous, but the enemies that you charm do damage just based on their damage. So if you increase enemy damage, your charmed allies get better. They just keep their normal stat when you charm them. So starfish, very synergistic for the flute, and also will help fix our economy, hopefully entirely. You can see now that we've gotten some ranged damage whenever we kill one of the... or when we convert to engineering. Our landmines just start popping things. See if we can get this hatcher charmed as well. Charmed hatchers spawn charmed eggs, which spawn charmed slashers, so you get a ton of value out of charming those guys. Anything that summons is a really good target to charm. You obviously don't get that much of a choice over whether you're charming stuff, but if it's a summoner, then it's definitely worth paying attention to. We'll take 10 more harvesting here, and then I do want some attack speed as well. We'll take all of these items, and then I'm going to reroll. Bean Teacher is great. I do want the lifesteal, but this is another great way to fix our economy, and then we can boost our percent damage a little more like that. And Sharp Bullet, awesome, of course. The piercing shots will go, even though it decreases the damage of our piercing, the piercing shots will help us charm enemies much more reliably, so I'm still very happy. Renegade comes with piercing by default, which is one reason it's so good with wands, or with flutes, which really want piercing. But having extra piercing will matter a lot, and we can buy a pumpkin to offset the damage loss. Renegade's percent damage modifier is only on actual percent damage, not other forms of percent damage like piercing percent or damage to bosses, that kind of thing. Whereas characters that modify all damage will decrease or increase those types of stats. But if we find a silver bullet, we'll get full value out of it, which I'm hoping we do. Amazing to charm those blobfish as well. Always really, really good. I really need some armor right now. That's the stat that we're missing the most. Almost level 15, though, so I'm probably going to look for a level 3 armor upgrade there. And then let's take some more lifesteal. I'll take 15 luck. And we'll take the sharp bullet, mushroom, and tree. Garden, I do have a clockwork wasp. So I think I will take the garden. We'll take a coffee, one of the best items we could possibly find. We'll combine and buy another flute, keep leveling our flutes. Oh, I should have bought the mouse there, actually. Obviously, we wanted the additional enemies on the field, but we will take mouse and community support. And padding, I think I'm going to pass on. I would prefer armor to max HP, so what we're hoping is that we get a decent armor upgrade and maybe some healing. I don't think I'm going to be able to kill the elite, although our damage is kind of deceptive because it's lots of small damage instances, but we shoot a lot of bullets. So we might still be able to kill the elite. But you can see here, the amount of damage I'm taking is very high when I take a hit, because I have no armor. So we have to fix that. Fortunately, we're level 15, so I'm just going to roll until I get a +3 armor upgrade. Since on level 10, 15, and 20, you're guaranteed a level 3 upgrade in the level up screen. But we will die to the elite if I don't fix my defensive stats, so I do need to get on that, especially because I have Starfish, so enemies hit much harder. Playing 0 armor with Starfish is not exactly what I would recommend. I'll take the boiling water just for the +2 damage, and then we are rolling, take 3 armor here, and then 9% speed, or I could take 3 ranged damage, which would be tripled to 9 ranged damage, so that's +4.5 damage on each of our flutes. I'm going to take the ranged damage. I think that will be enough to help me burst down the elite a little bit faster. Take a pencil as well, and an incendiary turret. I'll buy a second pearl. Peaceful Bee does cost me a bunch of ranged damage, but percent damage matters more, so I'm still going to take it. And then we'll see if we can kill the elite really fast. Definitely a difficult one to fight here. And my damage is not keeping up with its health as much as I would like. I was really hoping that we could burst it down very rapidly, and it looks like that's not going to be the case. So I'm going to try backing away from it. I'd still like to kill it, if at all possible, but I'm not going to be able to play just hyper-aggressive the way I was hoping to, because I just didn't manage to get quite enough damage to do that. Charm those lampreys to keep on top of DPSing it down. And then if I can pull it over here into the incendiary turret, we will get a lot of value out of that, because our engineering's really high, so the incendiary turret damage should take it out, and we did manage to do that. Meanwhile, of course, our army of units is just killing everything. This is honestly a really fun combination. Very powerful, but really fun. I'll take the acid here. Ice Cube I'll pick up. We currently have no elemental damage, but for 28, I think it's worth considering. And I can't buy engineering because we're the Renegade, so we're just recycling the robot arm. Triangle of Power, this gives me 4% damage, but we only lose, what's that, 0.4% damage whenever we take a hit. So I'm going to take the Triangle of Power here, or 0.04%. No, 0.4% whenever we take a hit. I'm taking the Triangle of Power here because the amount of damage we take when we take a hit doesn't really matter, and the armor, when we have 1 armor, really, really does. So we'll take that. Let's roll here, and I'll take some more attack speed, and then 2 more armor, and that has fixed our armor a little bit. Taking the Pearl and Peaceful Bee does cost me 3 ranged damage. Still worth it, though. Law Tree, I do need to just buy any level 1 item that we don't have. Fried Rice is awesome because we have double Incendiary Turret, and we'll take an Insanity as well. And then here is our way to apply elemental damage, so I'm looking like a genius for taking this Ice Cube. Piggy Bank is a bit late, and we've got a Starfish already as well for a risky economy item, so no need for that. Piggy Bank is a risky item because it requires you to float a bunch of material in order to get value out of it, and that's risky because you're not getting stronger when you're not buying items. I love the buffing aliens being charmed. You can see our incendiary turret got buffed, our landmine got buffed, that's funny. But the incendiary turret getting buffed, or the garden getting buffed and spitting out a ton of extra fruits, because I think it does increase the attack speed of structures. It's movement speed and damage, but I think when applied to a friendly unit, it also gives attack speed. I'm not 100% sure of that. Here I'm going to take 6% speed because my movement speed has decreased. And you know what? We've got 1 starfish already. Let's get another one. This is very greedy and not necessary at all, but it is fun, so I'm gonna take it. Alienize, more just random damage to go with our army there, our charmy, and then we'll take a flute here. Also, I think I mentioned the constructs applying the charm. Obviously, that can't happen because we're charming from flute, not because we're the romantic, so. Only our actual flute attacks can apply charm. But lowering enemy HP to the threshold where that can happen is still very important. Oh, nice. We got the buff. You can see we had our little red outline there, and we're moving on quite a bit faster. So when we get buffed by one of our allies here, it's always very fun. I would love a pocket factory because it's incredibly synergistic for this character combination. Not only does Renegade triple the damage from the projectile, or triple the projectiles from the turret, we also get tons of engineering, and the engineering kicks in just as you've gotten a bunch of pocket factory turrets set up, so it's very powerful. Here, I think I'm just going to take 15 more luck, because increasing that matters a lot, and then we'll take 3 armor. Sad tomato, I definitely want. I will upgrade the flute, and then can't buy both of these items, so we'll take the alien magic. It does decrease my damage output, but it increases everything else, and then we will take book as another unique level 1 item, and pocket factory, already discussed how good that is. I'm going to run away from the elite for a second here, just to regenerate with the sad tomato. And then we're going to try to DPS it down. Again, I don't quite have enough burst damage, I think, to kill it before we convert to the engineering phase. But with our incendiary turrets, and the fact that we don't lose that much damage when we do hit the engineering phase, because a lot of our damage is based on luck and not ranged damage, I think we should be just fine to clear the elite here. So I'm going to try to pull it over towards our incendiary turrets. This one does kind of random walk, so it's a little harder to focus damage on it, so we might not manage to kill this one. Yeah, it looks like I won't quite have the damage output to take it out, but we'll just run away and heal. Whoop. Bad movement put me in a little bit of extra danger there, and then we did survive that wave, though I did put myself in a bit more of a risky situation than I intended. We'll take some regeneration, and then I'm going to buy all of these items, and then reroll. Eye surgery goes very well with our incendiary turrets, and it's okay with our scared sausage, though we can never increase our elemental damage. And then obviously silver bullet's going to be great, and will prevent not being able to kill the elite like what happened last time. Got a charmed mini-boss, which is just going to run around shredding everything for us. And our pocket factory turrets are now starting to stack up a little bit, and as we convert to the engineering phase, the extra projectiles that those fire will help us just keep the wave clear very easily. Trying to make sure that I get at least some of this purse as well, because a couple cursed items would really help in the end game. I'm going to take more ranged damage again, just to try to burst down the bosses a little faster, and then I'm going to roll, and my armor's pretty bad. My max HP could also use a boost, but I think attack speed actually matters more for us than either of those things. We'll take Silver Bullet. I'll grab another Bean Teacher, and we'll take a Turret and a Garden, and then re-roll. Lighthouse, I did just buy a couple structures that we didn't really need, and I guess we only get 25% of the normal engineering. So for the Lighthouse, we'd be spending 212 on, like, 3 engineering, which is okay. Given that we have a lot of items that benefit from it. So I think I will buy it, even though we have reduced engineering rates. 3 engineering is worth paying attention to on this character, because it just makes our structures more helpful in the first half of the wave. I would love a little more movement speed. That was part of why I had some trouble killing the elite in the last wave, because we just didn't have the move speed to consistently dodge its attacks. Hey, I think that's our first loot alien of the run. I will say, we've bought a lot of luck and have not gotten many crates. We're definitely running cold on crate, even despite having bought a lot of luck. But that was a lot of money that we got. Okay, fine. I'll get greedy. We'll take another starfish. This starfish is definitely wrong to take here, by the way, if you're just maximizing win rate. But it's so fun to pick up yet another one of those. We'll take more attack speed and more armor. And then I will, I guess, lose half an engineering to pick up the ritual, because the percent damage is reduced as well. But when we have negative percent damage like this, every little bit matters. So still worth it to buy that. And then the lifesteal, of course, is what we're mostly there for. We'll take the injection for positive percent damage also. And then bowler hat, I guess 15 luck does matter, so I will take that. Insanity, I've already got one, so I don't need another one. We'll take a flute. And both acid and cute monkey we're going to pass on. Alright, let's check our damage against the elite this time. With the additional attack speed that I've gotten, I think it should be a lot easier to fight the elite. Also, this elite is pretty straightforward as a ranged character. It's quite difficult as a melee character, but when you have the distance to space yourself away from those sets of 3 projectiles, it's quite easy to just take it out. Also, we're a fairly high damage setup at this point, even though we're using a very low damage weapon. One thing that I actually don't know is if community support still counts your charmed allies for additional attack speed or not. If anyone does know that, let me know in the comments, because if it does, then that makes community support a really good item for romantic and for flute builds. I'll definitely take the panda here, and then I did want more movement speed, so I'm going to take that. We'll take some more ranged damage just to boost that up. Take a plant and a flute and a bowler hat and roll. Buy a bunch more luck here. And keep upgrading our weapons and keep rolling. Okay, well, I'm going to take the chain gun because obviously we're going to buy the legendary going into the boss fight, and it's just such a perfect item for this character. Will I have 815 materials if I buy the flute? I think not, so I'm gonna pass on buying this level 1 flute, just to make sure that I manage to get to 800 materials so we can actually buy the chain gun. Now we're really gonna get to be the Terminator. Alright, so we will have no problem hitting 800 materials, it looks like. We had a bunch carried over from the previous wave as well, so that does make it easier. And we're going to get our legendary weapon and be able to end this game in style. 1,000 materials here. I'll take an armor. I'll cap my max HP, that's fine. The extra ranged damage is really good, and then I'm going to take just 3 regen and some more attack speed to be able to kill the bosses just a little bit faster. Let's combine, buy a chain gun, and then we will do a reroll. Reinforced steel, or lucky coin, or stone skin. I guess I'll take the reinforced steel. It gives me range damage and a tiny bit of engineering. Defective steroids, I think I've got one already, so no point in buying that. But let's take a whetstone. Alongside the chain gun, this now makes it even easier for us to survive. It's going to fire 5 shots every time it attacks, which is also awesome with the Renegade. Alright, let's go kill the bosses. Just look at those numbers floating up. You can't actually see the boss because it's covered in damage numbers. There goes the first one. And there goes the second one. And there we go. We have managed to defeat the Renegade Cyborg, which is just both a chilling and fun thing to, a chilling glimpse of the future and a fun character combination to say. And also, I just really enjoyed this character combo. I think this is very synergistic, and while it's a pretty powerful combination, there were some interesting decisions still. And we also got to have, huge damage output from a bunch of our constructs. The flutes worked really well for this character, so just a really good combo overall. Saved 338 materials from the coupons, which were not as good as they could have been. This was a fairly high economy run, but we did get a slow start with harvesting and got unlucky on boxes, so we didn't get as much money as I think you would on average playing this run. Did 25k damage with the incendiary turrets, only 5.4 from the landmines, so a little not very good there, but landmines are always going to kind of disappoint like that. Clockwork Wasp obviously was great. Starfish gave us tons and tons of money, so I'm pretty happy with the first Starfish. The later ones we just bought to goof around, but they were still good for extra income. Anything else here that we really need to pay attention to? Actually, 4k damage from the Scared Sausage, surprisingly strong, even though it only does 1 damage at a time, but that adds up. And 5.4k from the Alien Eyes as well. We have a level 1 turret somewhere also, so our Pocket Factory and our level 1 turrets combined to do 27.5k damage, which is pretty good. Dangerous Bunny saved us 59 materials, but it's more than that because it makes all your rerolls cheaper. We ended up with fewer discrete level 1 items than you usually want on the Renegade, so we still had negative % damage, but this character was still very powerful, and obviously with our chain gun dealing 40,000 damage, we ended the boss waves very, very quickly. Alright, my friends, I hope you enjoyed this romp with the Mechanical Menace. And of course, as always, if you have, feel free to leave a comment and hit like. Helps me out with the algorithm, so I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And of course, you can subscribe to my channel for more Brotato and other strategy game analysis. Cheers, folks. I'll catch you next time.